We bought a 200-year-old house. Sounds crazy, right? I mean, to be honest, most of our friends and family thought we were crazy too. But it sat empty for about 8 years. And then the last 5 of that, it was on the market and it just never sold. But we think it's because she was waiting on us, because she needed us. And I think we needed her too. So this is the story of the Enchanted Manor and how we're gonna bring the magic back to her and bring her back to life again. But let's begin at the beginning, shall we? For over 20 years, my husband Mitch and I have been remodeling homes together. We had a whirlwind romance and got married after only 3 months, and then moved into our first fixer-upper a couple of months later. Then a couple of years after that, we bought my childhood home, which was in pretty rough shape. And I decided to start a blog to keep track of the changes we were making to the house, kind of like a scrapbook. And that's how the Shabby Creek Cottage was born. We were remodeling a shabby little cottage by the creek, and I posted the progress on the internet. The decision to start a blog changed our lives in the most amazing way, and we thought we'd live there forever. And then the pandemic happened. Unlike lots of other folks, we took stock of our lives and decided it was time for a change. We sold the house on the creek and bought a brand new spec home in Huntsville, Alabama, and pretty much hated it. So after 2 years of living there, we decided to sell it and go off and try to find an old house that we could live in while we brought it back to life. We looked at over 50 houses across 5 states, and honestly, we were ready to throw in the towel. We found one and put in a contingent offer, and then our house sale fell through. And so that one didn't work. We got so frustrated, we pulled our house off the market. And then 2 days later, it sold. So it looked like it was actually going to happen, and it was time to find another house. And then one morning, even though I had been searching the internet for months, I saw one. And it was a lot different than I had anticipated, because I had been looking for like 100-year-old Victorian house, and this one was a 200-year-old brick colonial. We didn't schedule a viewing, we just drove over to see her and the town, because at the end of the day, what we really truly wanted was a practical magic house in a Stars Hollow town. So we hopped into the truck on a warm, sunny November afternoon and drove an hour to a tiny little town outside of Huntsville. And as soon as we passed through the ivy-covered gates, we could just feel the magnetic pull this house had on us. We got out and walked around the abandoned property, and Mitch said, "If it's half this good on the inside, it's gonna be awesome." The next day, I came over with my agent so that we could see inside, and I was mesmerized. It was in such good shape. To consider it had been empty for 8 years, it was like someone had moved out yesterday. And we had searched so long and so hard to find the perfect house, and here it was, a mere hour away from where we were. So we came back tools in hand a couple of days later so that Mitch could go through the house and inspect it himself, because we knew what to look for. We knew like the good and the bad, because we had looked at enough houses already. And then we got a professional inspection as well. But we knew what we could handle and we knew what we couldn't. We knew where we needed to call the pros and what we could take on ourselves. So it was all good. And we ended up buying a 200-year-old house. So let me tell you how we got started on it. On day one, the day we signed, the workers showed up. They actually made it to the house before we did. And we got new HVAC units and a new roof in the first week. Because we closed in December, the first order of business was heat. And the guys from Dennis Heat and Air, they did the upstairs unit first and then spent the rest of the week getting the downstairs warm. While the HVAC guys were here doing their work, they uncovered the old cistern for the well whenever they took the big unit off of the ground. And it really did cover the hole. There was water inside and all of these really cool old bottles. And that happened, I think, the second day we were here. And we had decided that the Enchanted Manor was already giving us gifts. And of course, it needed a new roof, and so the guys at Simmons Roofing, they were amazing, and they got the roof done in only 2 days. Because Mitch used to be a plumber and electrician, he's been handling all that, including hot water heaters, new lights, all that good stuff. And me, I spent the whole first week cleaning. That's all I did was cleaning. I'm actually still cleaning, but I digress. I cleaned and I unboxed a lot of boxes. Once we closed on the house, I shared a video that day on Instagram, and it went viral, like 5 million views viral. And a lot of people had the same question: is the house really 200 years old? And the answer is yeah, but I mean, kinda. This house, like most old houses, has a lot of quirks. And the weird thing about this one is it's like a house within a house. The original structure was built in 1824 by the founder of the city that it's in. But over the years, it's been added onto, and it's basically been quadrupled in size. And then sometime around the 1920s, from as best as we can tell, they did some construction where they added on to each side and then all the way across the back. And they turned it into like a brick colonial style, and that's where we are today. Sadly, this house has been remodeled so many times over the years, up in even to the late 90s, early 2000s, and there is no original features or charm left in it whatsoever. So we want to bring a lot of that back. Now, what age will we do and what style? I really, truly don't know. But we want to give it as much charm and as much grandeur as we possibly can and make it feel magical again. Now, is that going to be easy? Absolutely not. We've already had a lot of hiccups along the way, which I share over on Instagram. So if you don't follow me over there, you might want to. But yeah, I just want to show a realistic view of what it looks like to remodel a home, especially an older home, and show that it's absolutely doable with, the right attitude and the right mindset. Many people have asked, why did you buy such a big house? And we weren't actually looking for this big of a house. It just was the perfect house at the perfect budget, but it's laid out differently than our last house, and we do use almost every room. I also have extra space so that we can host retreats, and I'm most excited about hosting junk journal retreats here at the manor. And I just think it will be a lot of fun to be able to connect with you in new ways. Even though the gardens are overgrown, there's plenty of room to make new ones. And there's even a little cottage for my VW bug out back. And so that's the story of how we bought a 200-year-old house. It's been an adventure so far, and I have lots more adventures to share, which is why I'm doing this new series here. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you'll follow along and, hit the bells and the buttons and do the YouTube-y things. So that's all for this episode. I'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.